Hello, boys and girls. Now we're getting to the point of writing complete, beautiful sentences. We know that we don't like having fragments because they are missing a subject or a predicate. We know that we don't like run on sentences because there really could be two separate sentences, or we could fix them with the Oxford comma and the word and. So now we're going to talk about some ways that we can write complete sentences that are nice and clean and lovely. So go ahead and write your name at the top of your paper. To change sentence fragments into a complete sentence, first you have to identify what information is missing. So this is important. What is wrong? You have to be a detective, right? You have to get your little magnifying glass out like Sherlock Holmes, and you have to look and see what is missing. And then you're going to write a new sentence. So, for example, if you see a fragment and the predicate is missing, you can write a predicate. If you see a fragment and the subject's missing, you can add a subject, right? So here, this looks like a fragment, work together on a project. That's a predicate because here's the verb, work together on a project. So all we have to do is add a subject. Our school worked together on a project. And now it's perfect. If we have a run on, we raised money, everyone had fun. You can break it into two sentences. We raised money, period. Everyone had fun, period. These kind of look like first grader sentences. Another way to fix that is to say we raised money, comma, and everyone had fun. And then it looks more like a fourth grade sentence, right? So first you have to figure out what's missing, especially if it's a fragment or if it's a run-on, you have to figure out that it's a run-on before you fix it, okay? So this is going to be pretty easy for 1 through 3 because they're giving us a fragment. We know what's wrong with it. It's got something missing, right? We just have to look and see. We have to figure out what's missing, right? So here we go. Um, Made money for a new playground. What do you think is missing? Think for a second and see if you can figure it out. This is a verb. Big clue. So it looks to me like we're missing a subject, right? We don't know who or what made money for a new playground. So we could say, let's say Helene made money for a new playground. And let's say that she couldn't do that all by herself, even though she's awesome. Let's say Helene and her family made money for a new playground. There's not enough room. Curse you, big fat Karen writing. All right, here's our next fragment. Supported the kids in their community. So think, I'll give you a second to look and think what you can figure out is missing. What do you think is missing? Looks to me like this is a verb. So what do you think is missing? If we have a verb, we know we have a predicate, right? So we don't know who or what supported the kids in their community. So we could maybe say, we could maybe say Jack's parents supported the kids in their community. Period. Nice big fat period there. Okay. Number 3 is also a fragment. I know that because they told us. And I underlined it, fragment. Each class in school. What do you think is missing? Take a second and think. All right, so I think this looks like a subject. Each class in school sounds like a bunch of people, right? And they're not doing anything. We don't know what they're doing. So what's missing is the predicate, what they're doing. There's no verb. So that can't be a sentence. Each class in school, they have to be doing something. So let's think for a second about what we want them to do. Maybe if we're talking about fundraisers, maybe we want to say each class in school sold crafts at the holiday fair. Okay, sounds good. Now they're doing something. They have an action word, sold. Okay. Now, this is not telling us 4 through 6. We just have a whole bunch of problems. And we don't know if they're fragments. We don't know if they're run ons, right? Sometimes run ons can fool you. You'd think that a run on would have to be long, but sometimes they don't have to be that long. So let's look and see. We had a fair. We sold food from many countries. This looks like 2 sentences. I'm going to fix it like a fourth grader. I could fix it like a first grader and I could say, we had a fair, period, capital W. We sold food from many countries, period, and make it into 2 sentences. I could do that, but I would prefer to say and use the comma and the and, right? The Oxford comma. So I'm going to say, we had a fair, comma, Oxford comma, and we sold food from many countries. That actually sounds really fun. My first year teaching, I taught 6th grade, and we learned all about the world in social studies. And so every student had to pick a country. And we had at this school, we have 1 6th grade. At my school, we had 4 6th grades. We had a lot of 6th grades, so we had a lot of kids. Each class had about 25 people in it. So we had about 100 6th graders. And each one of them picked a different country. They wrote a report, and then they had to set up a booth and make a poster, and they had to make some kind of food from their country, or they had to make some kind of craft, or they had to do something. They had to dress up too like they were from their country, and they had to sit at their booth, and then the whole school got to walk around and look at their booth, and they got to eat the food. It was really fun. It was so fun. Unfortunately, I only taught 6th grade for 1 year, but I had a blast the year that we did that. It was really fun. All right. One booth sold tacos, another sold pizza. I think we're going to need to throw an and in there to make that into a compound sentence. So I think without an and, it's a little sketchy. We could also say one booth sold tacos, period. And then another sold pizza could be, that's not a great sentence, another sold pizza. So let's just throw an and in there. One booth sold tacos. Oh, my stomach's growling. I love tacos, comma, and another sold pizza. Pizza. All right. Number 6, it was a success. We'll do it again next year. That could go again. This is looks like a run on. It could go either way. You could say it was a success, put a period there, and then you could capitalize the W on and say we'll do it again next year. That would be fine. You could also just throw an and in there. Even better, I think. It was a success, comma, and we'll do it again next year. And when we do, teacher Karen will only teach 6th grade that 1 year and won't ever be able to come back to the international fair, which will be really sad because it was really fun and it was really tasty. There was a lot of really delicious food at the international fair. There was also a lot of weird food that you weren't really sure what you were eating, and it was a little scary, but also kind of an adventure. All right. Hope you learned this week that people make mistakes with sentences, and also that mistakes can always be corrected and fixed, right? And that it's really kind of easy to figure out how to fix a sentence if you take a peek at it and look at it and stare at it long enough, figure out what's missing. Maybe it is missing a subject, maybe it's missing a predicate, maybe it's missing an Oxford comma, maybe it's missing the word and. Maybe you just need to start over and make it into 2 separate sentences, right? Or sometimes even 3 sentences if it's getting too long. All right, so hopefully this week helped you to understand how to write very clear sentences. All right, I will talk to you later. Thanks for joining me.